Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Make Jesus Music. My name's Maddie, and today we have the awesome JSP, James and Sarah. Thank you so much for inviting me to your home and your home studio. Can you tell me a bit about this home studio?
Yeah, no, well, I've grown up, music's always been a big part of my life. I've had a home studio in some sort of format, and I joke when I met Sarah, I came with a house full of furniture, house full of music equipment, which is sort of whittled down as well. But we built here probably about 13, 14 years ago, and we lost a living room to a music room. But in saying that, it's our creative space, very creative people, and just a space to come in and do music. So, yeah.
Fantastic. And you mentioned off screen before that, you know, your children like playing and smashing the drums a little bit. Do your kids get involved with playing here?
Andrew, our son, he plays the drums as well. They've both done piano lessons, things like that, but my daughter's a dancer, so yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. Guys, can you tell us a bit about why you started making Jesus music? Because I think a lot of our listeners and those of you watching us on the channel here might think that like every artist's story is so different. But I mean, you know, you guys are not, you know, new to the music scene by any means. You know, how long have you been doing it, and why did you choose to start doing Jesus music?
I'd say it's been a lifetime thing for me. Like I started playing piano when I was 6 years old. Long story short, up to the age of 6, I was actually totally deaf, and it turned out I had really bad glue ear. But after I had an operation to fix it out, I remember coming out, and when you've been totally deaf and you hear a motorcycle outside for the first time, it's life-changing. It's quite incredible. And I just remember the 6-year-old and saying, thank you, God, that I could hear. And for me, music is an extension of myself in terms of it's how I have my relationship with God in a lot of ways. So like people sit down and pray, and I do that, but sometimes I just sit down and play the piano. And that's my expression of my love, how I express my love to Jesus. And the songs that I write generally have been just from the experiences that I've been through. And I've been very fortunate to grow up in a rich Christian heritage of Christian music, with my grandfather doing a lot in that space, and had a lot of artists that really inspired me that were very similar in telling their stories as well. So for me, it's always been that aspect to see the power of music to actually hit people. Sometimes it's only one person at a time, sometimes it might be more, but I think it's just a vehicle God created for us to be able to communicate.
Amazing. Yeah, fantastic. And yourself, Sarah?
Yeah, look, I think, you know, similar for me. I grew up in a very musical family and started doing music from a very young age. But I think for me, I was just always really passionate about music that planted a seed, you know, that would just show people something that they could relate to, that would show them and bring them to Jesus in a way, to show that there is something, there is an answer around the chaos of life. And all our songs are really personal about real life experiences and things that we've been through. And I think for me, especially, it makes those things worth it. Like sometimes you can go through something really hard and you're like, why did I have to go through this? But if I can put that in a song and share that, and if someone else can relate to that and that helps them on that healing journey, then to me, that makes it worth what I went through.
Yeah.
So, you know, for me, it's really important about getting that story out there and just showing people. You know, quite often I think we feel like we're the only ones going through something. And that's why we've really chosen to be so vulnerable in our music and sharing the story and the testimony that we are, and in being honest about our experiences, so that rather than putting up this facade and pretending that life's all happy and, oh, we don't admit that we go through these things, but actually can say to people, hey, we know what you're going through. It's okay to admit that you're going through this or you're finding this hard, and we're here with you on that healing journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And like the idea, I suppose, in partnering with God in music, I suppose, is it's deeper than just music. And I feel like you've been saying that as far as, you know, helping other people through your testimony. And for those of you who don't know, I was there to experience the wonderful album launch that you guys had here locally in Canberra. And it was just awesome to see how you guys portrayed each of your songs with the intention of putting scripture and testimony before songs. And it wasn't like, come on, stop talking so I can hear the song. It wasn't like that by any means. It was really on point and very much to the core of what the song was about. And I think that, how did you come up with that idea of, I guess, making something so personal and relevant? Did God move you in a space to do that? Has it always been that way? Or
It hasn't, and I think looking back as you grow, I look back in, I've been in previous Christian bands, and Hand on Heart, a lot of times people don't know what you're singing about. You might have a, in the live mix, first time someone's heard a song. And I think one thing that really changed for me when I was in a band, we went overseas to Malaysia, and one of the conditions in playing was that we had to have the words up while we're singing, we're singing about. And so we had to take things out in the old overhead projector and PowerPoint and stuff like that. But it really opened my eyes, because a lot of people, one, they can only know what you're singing about. A lot of times they will then sing along to the song. Yeah. But it just brought a different dynamic to it. And in particular, Disciple, who our producer comes from as well, most of the rock bands now at least have lyric videos up, so you know what they're singing about. I think it just brings another dimension to what you're doing. But I wanted to take it a bit further, because a lot of our stuff, I believe, are issues that no one really is talking about in the space. I think a lot of people are thinking about it, but I wanted to be thought-provoking. I wanted to really challenge people. I really wanted to communicate what happened in our journey so people could connect with it. I honestly think a lot of people feel the same way, but they don't speak up on it. And I said to Sarah when we were planning the show, I have these ideas that come into my head. And our approach to doing the album launch was, if this is the only time that we get to do these songs live and share our testimony, what would I do? And my big believer is, the music is a vehicle and this is a testimony. The two go hand in hand. If one outweighs the other, or if particularly music outweighs the other one and my story is not communicated, and I think that's what the purpose of Christian music should be about. And I think it's also very important to tie it to Scripture. It's very important to tie into the you would have seen in some of the songs, to really challenge people where they're at. Actually think, you might not realise, but your words can be the difference between someone walking out the back door of the church and never having anything to do with God again, versus actually saying, hey, you know what, I shouldn't be doing that, and maybe I need to look at that area and change. And and the other aspect too is that I want to be different. I want to be who God created me to be. And in the past, there's a lot of elements where I feel under peer pressure. You don't do this sort of stuff because it's not cool or whatever. But I really wanted to hammer home what our 10 songs are about. If you've never spoken to me before, if I never met you and it's the only time I get 1 hour with you, you're going to hear about the struggles I went through. You're going to hear about the honesty and being vulnerable about the deepest pain that I was in. But you're going to finish on Jesus. Because no matter what happens in your life, he's knocking at the door waiting for you to open it. Some of us, it takes a very long time to open the door properly. Sometimes we open and have a little sneak peek. Sometimes we get disappointed and we slam it shut and run the other way. But the reality is, God brought so much healing in my life that I cannot shut up about what he did for me.
100%. Thank you for being
so
vulnerable.
It's real.
It's real, and I treasure that. When I was experiencing your show last night, I treasure the intentionality of being able to not only go through that process of 2 years of this process of, as you mentioned, going to Nashville and being able to find somebody such as Josiah, who produced for who's part of Disciple, I believe, right? And produces a lot of Christian rock music. Like, you guys not only just said, oh, it's a good idea, but you stepped out in faith, believing that your story would have an impact and be able to serve others, and ultimately for the kingdom of God. Sarah, what's your experience been of, God challenging you in that space of, I guess, being vulnerable with your story?
Yeah, look, I guess for me, and I've just, I guess, had to really have realistic expectations to going into this. Like, I think initially when we recorded, it was more about, oh, we don't want to get to 60 and be like, oh, we never did it. We had all these songs and we never actually recorded them or had something to show. So the journey's kind of progressed as it's gone on. Initially it was just going to be an EP, and then God just kept giving us more songs, and eventually we had a full album. And, and so then, and as more of the stories and the things that we were delving into, we were sort of realizing how important it was to try and to get this message out. And then it was like, oh, well, we've done the gigs and the late nights and the traveling and the touring, and we've got a family now. So, we don't want that lifestyle. We just want to record this and get it out for everyone to hear. And then I think once we were in the process of recording, we were like, oh man, we're so passionate about these songs now. We just want to perform them and share them with everyone. And like, it's just been growing and growing and stirring more and more. And we love that, and just love seeing the response for it as well. Like, I think one of the most amazing things has been getting like messages from people online or different things who have heard a song or whatever, and sharing how much one of our songs has impacted them and helped them on their healing journey, and that just makes it so worth it. And so it's going to be really interesting now, because I think we've had this really long journey of just all this progression of God kind of just continuing to open doors and leading us into more. And now we've kind of done our launch, and the album's out. It's out there now. It's done. And it's kind of like, oh, okay, now what's next? So just kind of sitting in that and waiting on the Lord, and we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk about a few of your songs, a few of them that really spoke to me, and many others. James, you talked about New Eyes. I personally love that song. In my experience, I felt like seeing other people through God's eyes, or circumstances through God's eyes. It's a game changer. I just feel like that's not just thought of just like that. It's obviously been processed and marinated and digested, and walking a path of hurt and forgiveness. Would you like to draw us into a deeper revelation of New Eyes?
So there was probably 3 songs on the album that, for me, the concepts were intentional. I wanted to write about. The first one was Taking It Back. It's Not Your Fault. And New Eyes was actually, I started this one because in my journey, I wanted to represent the taking off the lens and the process of, seeing things through God's eyes.
Yeah.
So, a lot of the experiences that I had growing up, I call it in the Christian environment, there's no other way to term it, but it was spiritual abuse. And the hard thing about that is spiritual abuse puts everything back on you. I felt like I was not good enough for God because my music wasn't going anywhere. And I was consistently told that it's because you don't have enough faith. Or it's every time something didn't happen, it was always put back on me. And the only place that leads to is a position of disappointment, and you end up being angry at God. And I was angry at God for a long time. I'll hand on heart to say, I did all this stuff for you and you didn't do anything for me. But that's where that thinking goes to, because being totally honest here is that there's a part of Christianity that puts on this face of, if you're in love with Jesus and you're a Christian, everything's fine. And it's sort of taught from a young age to hide the pain, to hide the struggle, not to let other people see that, because that'll make people see that you're not a good Christian.
Right.
And it just leads to this place of negativity. I was so negative, but also because of the pain that I experienced, I didn't get justice. And I wanted justice so bad. And you can ask Sarah, I lived my life for so long defined by my past. I lived in the past.
Yeah.
I wasn't living in the now and what everything God had given me.
Yeah.
And it came a point, it was only 2 years ago, or about a little bit more than 2 years ago. It was actually three weeks before Sarah's mum tragically passed away, where the negativity and everything got so bad that I just said, I don't want to live like this anymore.
Yeah.
And it was in that place where I spoke to, some close Christian friends and got some really good, external counsel. But in that process, when you cry out to God like that, how many stories in the Bible are there about that? That's when God comes in. And I was saying, God, I don't want to view my life like this anymore.
Yeah.
I'd lost my love for the unsaved. I'd lost my love for Christians. I'd lost my love for everything. Yeah. Because in my world of pain, I built up these walls and I was trying to protect myself. Yeah. And I thought I was protecting myself, but I was actually, that's what It's Not Your Fault's about, but tying into this song. Yeah. And so I wanted to write a song that was very raw about the battle that was going on in my mind. The first line is, I fight a silent battle, it rages within me. I look fine on the outside, but inside I'm just in continual turmoil. Up and down, up and down. And the bridge I really love, I cry to you with my heart. What's the word?
To shine a light.
No, to shine a light in the dark. I want to see through your eyes.
Yeah.
And literally, I remember after Sarah's mum passed away, I looked at people differently. I was just overwhelmed, and I understood if someone didn't like me or got angry at me, I understood, hey, you know what, they're reacting to something that's happened to them, that's a trigger for them. And I just felt this immense love for people that I just can't explain. And my passion that I had as a young person for seeing people come to God and people know Jesus and his loving heart. And so that song was representative of a real battle. Those thoughts, so many questions, and then more questions would come, and I think I couldn't find the answers, and I felt like I was going insane. You know what the amazing thing is? So many people going through this.
Yeah.
And even, I've had so many people that say, you've written what I'm going through. But it's not that God uses these things, experiences we go through. So, Genesis talks about how God's been there and he weaves everything in our lives. But weaving is not so much letting those events happen because God doesn't like you. It was actually shaping us for the time that we're in now. Wow. And New Eyes is probably, I love to play it because it's a very catchy, poppy tune. But but on top of that, it's representative of, and you go into the Bible, you look at David, you even look at Elijah after Mount Carmichael, he ran into a cave and wanted to die. David crying out in the Psalms repeatedly for God. When we get on our knees and we cry out to God, that's when he shows up. Yeah. And I think God lets circumstances in our lives happen because it grows us and molds us and shapes us. And so literally that song was like, I lived my life with this lens over my eyes. It wasn't the truth of what I was saying. It was pain. Yeah. And once, that came off, I looked, I don't, even ask Sarah, I'm a totally different person. I don't look back. I live in the now. God's given me this beautiful wife, beautiful family. My future, I mean, I've only got 45 years to live. I'm going to die tomorrow. I didn't want to turn 40. You should have seen the fight I put on. I didn't, and my kids will laugh at it now, but I did not want to turn 40. And then actually each year you have should be a celebration of the gifts that God has given you. And it was, and I think like the wrist and everything, right? And then when Josiah came up with that sort of muse, sort of pop rock version of it, it's just a really great way to capture that message. So, Yeah, so, and I think you saw that on the video intro as well, but I think God allows us to get in a place for us to cry out for him, and that that's where he meets us.
Yeah, 100%. I'm reflecting on what you've been saying, and I'm wanting to ask a deeper question. Would you consider it during that period it was harder to forgive people? Because I suppose I'm thinking of the verse where it sort of talks about, and this is sort of enveloped in pain as well. You know, when we look at the world and God through our pain, that is like spiritual blindness, as you said, like with the lens over. But when we look at people and life and circumstances through God's eyes, when He takes the lens off, you know, in my experience, it's you know, it's not easy to forgive somebody, but it's easier to forgive somebody and see them and love them the way that, you know, Jesus would, by seeing people through His eyes. Is that a revelation to you, or has it still been a challenge?
No, I'll tell you, where hurt leads to resentment. Resentment is a big killer. A lot of us, and this is still prevalent today in the Christian environment, is that when you have a disagreement with somebody, or someone doesn't have the same opinion, you cut them off, they're out of your life. You know, the reality is, I'm a better Christian than you. And resentment is a horrible place, but it is an outworking of the fruit of hurt. And the fruit of hurt and the hurt and pain. So when somebody does something wrong to you, like in the case of spiritual abuse, and you don't understand it, that'll linger for a long period of time, because you don't actually, like, I can look back and go, oh, that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
Whereas in this situation, you want justice for what happened to you. You don't get your justice, because the Bible actually says you will never get justice. And that's not and it's not our role to, you know, get justice for the hurt that occurred to us. But resentment then leads to self-protection, where you try and do everything yourself. The actual representational thing of the actual body of Christ is actually, I don't need the body of Christ because they don't need me because they've hurt me. So I'll do everything myself. And when you try and do everything yourself, like case in point, like I try to do, like with music, you know, music production, mixing, mastering and all that, versus the team that we've had for this album, you can actually see the giftings of people in different areas, how coming together actually creates a better outcome. So, it's as I said, I didn't care about a non-Christian. Like, this just changed everywhere, from where I work, how I treated people, to, you know, having raw and open conversations, to, you know, to the fact that I tell non-Christians all the time about Jesus. I've been in places and saying, oh, do you want to come to our album launch? Here's what Jesus done in my life. And there's an element, what I'm actually surprised is how open non-Christians are actually hearing about Jesus. But there's all this little, okay, I've got this little secret gospel message, and I've just got to wait to bring Jesus out of the box at the right time, and then we get a response. But actually being Jesus is actually when somebody's in pain saying, hey, do you want to come and have a coffee and let's talk? And sometimes you don't need to say one word, just let them talk. And and absolutely, forgiving someone, why would you forgive other people that have hurt you? And that just keeps what I call living on the merry-go-round of despair. It's the same thing, just keeps happening over and over and over again. And the reality is, you're sitting there and says, everybody else has got to change. But the actual reality was, you needed to change. And when I changed, well, I can't tell you that in the last couple of years, and last night was representational of this, of I don't know how many new friends I've got in my life, how many people that I'm now meeting that have got the same heart and passion for what I'm doing, the same message and things like that. These incredible doors that just opened, that were just there, but I would not walk through them because that can't be of God, because I'm, you know, yes. And I'm a hand on heart, you know, I can see it now, but when you're in it, you can't see it.
And you're so right. Like, I think even in the little things, when you're living in that world of pain and hurt, you read into everything. Like, you know, one person doesn't talk to you, or someone says something that slightly offends you, or and you take it so personally all the time. And again, you're seeing through this different lens. You start making this stuff. I mean, oh well, they mustn't like me, or they this or whatever, and none of it's true. You know, you don't know what's going on in someone else's life. They might just be having a bad day, or they might be going through something really hard, or it could be something completely unrelated to you that's made them react the way they have. But when you're in that place, you always make yourself the victim, and you make it all about you. And then you start to realize, oh, hang on, you know, other people are going through things too. And that's where grace comes in. Like, we've got to be understanding for each other and be there for one another. And if we've always got our defenses up and trying to protect ourselves all the time and making it about us, how can we be there for other people and open that door to start encouraging people to be vulnerable and open about their struggles as well.
Because that really makes me think of the song Lies, you know, that you guys have. It's very reflective of that. Like, you know, we're always fed things from the world via experiences or people, or, I mean, hurt people, right? So we're living in a world of pain with people who do go on the merry-go-round, and they're not doing anything to change about it. And the people that we're praying for, including ourselves at times, you know, just let's point back to Jesus. Let's share each other's burdens here. But as you said, that, you know, we're, you know, taking in some of that pain or those words that aren't of God. And how have you in your journey sort of actually, that's a lie. You know, what's been your experience of being able to identify the lie, and how have you sort of kind of dealt with that, particularly when people are outrightly just saying what is not of God?
Yeah, and look, I think that's where the song No More really came in. Like, the whole song was about not believing Satan's lies, because I think for so long we were just really feeding into that, and just we were believing all that negativity, and that was really blocking us from stepping out and believing in what God was calling us to do.
Yeah, because the aggression of that song, I mean, it hits me. I mean, Kevin Young does such a fantastic job, doesn't he? I mean, you know, but like to be able to, you know, partner with you guys on that track, and just, I think that's the thing I really like about rock music as well, is that particularly in that message, it's like, Satan, I've had enough of you. Like, I'm just fed up, like, no more. And, you know, to be able to express that in such an aggressive tone, to be angry at sin, to be angry at, you know, evil through the Lord's, you know, passionate power and almighty wrath on darkness. I felt that was really, you know, you really captured that with that song No More, to just, you know, as someone just saying, oh, no, I'm not taking it. I'm not taking it. Does that resonate with that story?
That's what I've always loved about the hard rock genre, is I just love the intensity of it. It's so intense, it's so real, it's so raw, and you can feel everything through the whole song, you know, and it hits you in a way that, for me anyway, that no other genre does, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. Like, when I'm singing like that, I can sing worship, I can do other stuff as well, but you know, when I'm singing in that genre, it's like I can really express myself, and that's really who I am. So,
And that song is very intentional. So it's quite an interesting story in that one, because it was the last song we wrote.
Wow.
But the chorus I actually wrote 20 years ago.
Wow.
And I sat down and made the piano intro to that. I only did that last year. And I go, hey, that go to that. And the bridge is actually from another song. So this song it's got a few things. It's representational of the journey over 20 years. But the first verse is very much where you just get caught up in the lies. Whispers in the dark, I'll never be good enough. But then bang, the guitar's coming and saying, no more. And it was very intentional, because it's not you don't expect it to have something so big to hit you. It's like, I say, it's like it being hit in the face with a big wet fish and wake up. Get that from the Muppets with the guy with the fish, but it's literally like, what are you doing? Stop thinking like that. And it's you don't understand that they're lies when you believe them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what one of the hardest things to come to terms is? All those lies came from the Christian environment. And it's a repeated message that is saying people walk out the back door and walk away from God. And that's why being open and vulnerable about this is that I can sit there and I can say, that's a lie. But at the time, I said, I'm not, give up, James. Who the hell do you think you are? Great big list of sins and everything that you've done in your life, And that's what the Bible says. He's accuser of the brethren. He stands before God accusing the saints day and night of all their sins.
Yeah.
And there's elements. I think we've all done things in our life we all regret. But at the same time, the purpose of Jesus coming was we're washed clean of those sins and he doesn't view them anymore. We're made righteous again. And then the second verse is very, pointed finger at me, twisted lies you speak. It's a representational of, Satan accusing us, as the Bible says in his role. And then what I love about that song, the rap bit, is actually Sarah wrote that. And we're sitting here in this very room and she goes, I got this crazy idea. And she just sat there for 2 minutes, dead silent. She wrote it first, no changes.
Wow.
Then she tried to do it.
You tried to scream, get the growl on.
I was like,
Then I tried to do it, and it was like, okay.
a bit better.
Yeah.
Do we get a version of that?
Oh, wait, we're thinking
That's tucked away somewhere.
we gave it to Josiah, and he was like, man, this is a banger of a song. He was just so excited. But it was also representational because of our full, so like a few of the songs on the album we collaborated with Josiah with as well. And hey, I'm happy to collaborate with the guy who's writing stuff with Cutlass and Fireflight and everything else as well. But that was an interesting process for myself because 3 years ago I could not have done this. Someone giving me, nicest guy, but giving, any form of criticism in even the nicest way, I'd be like, don't you know who the hell I am? I'm better, But it's like, bring it on. But that song was representational of everything that he had taught us. He's just very as big about the song production. He said, you can have a great song musically, but if the lyrics aren't in the face and impacting you, you're wasting your time. So we spent a lot of time on that. But yeah, it was I think it's just the common lies that we have now accepted in a lot of teaching in the Christian space. And when you think about it, where would be the most successful target or strategy Satan would use to force people to walk away from the church? And I said last night in my testimony, unfortunately, a lot of people have experienced things in the Christian environment they should never have. And instead of understanding their hurt and pain to be the arms and feet of Jesus. And look, sometimes God will work in miraculous ways and people will feel like that. Sometimes all it takes is just one person just to sit and listen. Just sit and listen. Have a coffee and let them talk and don't say anything. Because when you don't validate someone's experiences, you don't validate them as a person and they're just going to stay in that space for a very long time. When you validate, like last night I said, your pain's real. That's like then saying, oh, I am a human being, If you're in a relationship with your wife and then you tell her how you feel and she just doesn't respond to it, it doesn't really go well. And it's the same with the relationship, relationship with Jesus and others as well. I think sometimes we can dismiss our emotions as being in the soul base, but God created emotions. And there's this thing that, there's certain emotions that are sinful. We're not taught, I wasn't taught how to deal with my anger when I was young. I was told that getting angry was naughty and you get in trouble for it. And as a result, there's nothing wrong with actually being anger, but actually how you deal with your anger and your actions in that as well. So, and I think that's what I love about music is that I can express those emotions. So like in every song, we express so many different emotions throughout. It's a bit of an emotional journey, the whole album. But it's understanding what it is. And then the reality too is that, and that puts me in a place where if the opportunity comes up, I will say something. I will say, if there's, I'm not going to put my hand up in the church. I don't agree with that. That's, whatever. But you can, I think we forget the Bible says that when one person turns back to Jesus, the whole of heaven rejoices. And we just forget about the one person. We get so fixated on, a more successful person is how many streams or views they've had on YouTube. And all this sort of stuff. And I joke, when you get to heaven and God goes, well, your name's not on the list, but, God, I had 1 billion views on YouTube and I did this on Spotify and I did this and that.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, but I didn't know you.
Yeah.
Versus if I can have one person experience the freedom that God's given me, that one life could go on to impact so many more other lives as well. And that's really what our heart is.
Yeah. Do you resonate that with Sarah?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I think I mentioned before, just using our experiences to help other people is really what we're all about. That's what it is at the end of the day. It is easy. You can start getting a bit caught up on, how many streams are we getting on this, or how many views have we had, or whatever, because there's always that side of you that still longs to be accepted. But it's not about that. You got to keep reminding yourself this is about the message, and it's about God using this however He wants to. And I guess that's where, like now, especially now that this full album is out there, I just, it's really feeling it's just a time now to just let it be and just let God use it how He wants to in whatever way, and trusting and believing that the people that need to hear it will hear it.
Yeah. Well, by that attitude, I mean, talking off camera as well, and seeing the multitude of support that you guys have had before the album launch, with the singles that have been released, not just the community in Canberra, but, and not only in Josiah's realm of communications as well, but people have seen your heart and your testimony. And I truly believe have seen this raw, authentic and purity of heart that God has refined through your music, and people just want to be on board. You mentioned, a lot of people have, come on in spontaneous ways to support you that you didn't expect. Could you maybe mention a few stories?
Yeah, like I guess our experience of the Christian rock community in the US is they're very open and embracing, and they're about the message in Jesus, and they just help each other. And we've been very fortunate to have some incredible people just hear our music and believe in our message, and just either promoting it or doing a lot of stuff for us, getting played on a lot of radio over in the US. We've been just really excited. Like just here in Australia, like our local radio station has just got behind us. Like, traditionally our style of music isn't played on. There's not much Christian rock radio over here as well, but they've believed in our heart and their message, and they've been playing the songs. And then we've been getting text messages from people like, your song was just on the radio, and through this whole process, we had a merging artist thing with Grant Northworthy, and at that's where, just before that, we met Kyle, who was on one of our support acts, and then we met Mark Holberton there, who he played as Canterbury Mark, but he also asked to be our drummer. And in that process of the drummer we had lined up, unfortunately couldn't play because of a wrist injury, and then he came on board in that, and it's just one person after the other. The person who did Kyle's music video clip, who was doing our videoing last night, he did 3 music videos for us, when at one point we didn't look like we were going to have a music video at all. We ended up with 3. And these just continual stories of a need coming up, and we got to the point we surrendered and we just said, okay, God, it's not going to happen. And then bang, it happens.
Yeah, and He just keeps doing it. And I think that's what's been so awesome about this journey, is right from the very beginning, when we even considered recording, like we sent the email to Josiah with no expectation to hear back from him, but we're like, look, we'll just send it, see what happens, and literally got a response the next day and asked us if we would consider going to America to record over there with him. And I was just like, there's just no way we can do that. We don't have the money. We've got family life. We've got all these things going on. Like logistically, there's just no way we could do that. And then it was like, okay, well, God, if this is what you want us to do, then you're just going to have to work all these things out. And I think, in all honesty, I did not expect that it could happen. And it just did. God just kept working everything out, opening all these doors. Everything just kept falling into place. And I think it was the first time that we weren't trying to force a door to open, that the doors just all kept opening. And when you know that's God, that's a really exciting feeling.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Like a few weeks ago, we released our third single, No More, which featured Kevin Young from Disciple. And we're like, oh, this is fantastic. And next thing you know, they put it on the Disciple Instagram page. They put it on their Instagram, on their Facebook page. And it just goes to show, you know, their hearts about what they do and helping other people. And the same, our publicist, Mary Nichols, who's a phenomenal person, she does that. And she's had a lot of experiences like that we've been through. But she believes in us. She believes our story, and you know, she's not charging us a bomb to do all this stuff for us. She's just doing it out of her own heart and passion for what we're believing in the message, because just very aware of the healing that can come to people's lives who hear these messages. And these people, and sometimes it is hard. Sometimes you feel a little bit down, but you have a chat with these people, and you just end up, your purpose gets reignited. You know, even you know, on the album, like we had Sam Moses mastered, and Sam Moses I've been following for 15 years. He's mastered everything that in the Christian space, and you know, I just said thank you to him, and you know, he said not many people say thank you to me, you know, like, and he's sharing our stuff on his page, and and you know, he got the recording from. Just he goes, man, dang, this is the biggest wall of sound I've ever heard. You all did a great job on this. And you know, Matt Ocasio, who mixed Firefly, and Matt Moore, and a whole pile of people like that. And then there was a guy called John Dinoski who did all our vocal and guitar and bass edits. I didn't know there were vocal engineers for recording, but there are. And he's, you know, you read, he's like, he's done everything from Dolly Parton to For King and Country to, you know, these people, and you're just like, okay. And, you know, also particularly like one of our songs on ChristianRock.net's at number 2. And we're an Australian band. We haven't done anything before. And our first song, they hear the message. And that's what I think has been encouraging. It's not who you are, it's your message. And they hear the message, and they're so on board for that. And even locally here in Canberra, like local radio stations have been so supportive of it. And, you know, I'm a big believer, and I've said this multiple times, it's not the genre of music God cares about. I believe he created all genres of music because our God's like that. It's the story of the person. And, you know, like I don't believe God intends if we're all going to paint an art picture that we all use the colour red and paint in the same style things.
God made us all unique and different in our way, and we should be able to express our ways in how God created us.
Absolutely celebrate it. And you know, you saw that last night. We had hip hop, we had folk hip hop, we had acoustic, and we had whatever genre you want to call us, because it's hard because we get classified in the hard rock genre, and some of our songs are like that, but some of our songs are pop rock. Some of them, our Don't Cry song is classical intertwined with a bit of rock. It's Not Your Fault is a ballad that turns rock. And some of it, we I had one person listen to our album, and they're like, we love every song of it, and you're hard rock / metal, pop, metal, classical with a tinge of worship. And the reality in our style of music is that I like to keep people on their toes, so they keep listening. They don't know what's going to happen next and do things unexpectedly. And I think that's what Josiah loved about us too, because that's pretty much like what Disciple, when they're like as well. And it's like switching to 6/8 for a bridge. Well, I wasn't expecting that, or key change at the end of this, or and that as well. So, and I think look, Josiah's just an incredible person because he instilled the confidence back in our ability. I thought I was a terrible guitar player. I thought I was a terrible piano player. And honestly, I was like, I'm nothing. I can't. I mean, you know, when we were recording, he said, James, you come over here and in 12 days we've knocked this album out. You've knocked out all these parts. Amazing. And you said you need to believe in the confidence and ability that you got because you're an incredible musician that God has gifted you to do that. And the same with Sarah. So he got Sarah to do things with her voice she never knew that she could do.
Yeah.
And his whole heart was to bring us out in our style and our genre of music. And I can proudly say, I don't think we sound like anybody else. And that's...
and that's what he liked about us, that we were different. Like, you know, I studied music and songwriting years ago, and I would write a song and then I'd get criticised. Oh, but no, you broke the rules. You can't do that. That's not in key or whatever. And I'd be like, but why not? Yeah. You know, and our songs are full of that. And Josiah loved it. And I think that's one of the things he did love about our music, was that we were different and it really just represented us and our own style. And it's not that we're trying to copy someone else or just sound like someone else. And like, I even did a bit of vocal training with a professional to prepare for the studio, an amazing vocalist. And she was like, so is there someone you want to try and sound like? What kind of sound are you going for? And I'm like, no, I just want to sound like me. I'm not trying to copy what's in at the moment or whatever. I just want to be me, and people hear that and go, hopefully, oh yeah, that's Sarah from JSP, because it's unique, you know.
And that should be absolutely celebrated. And you know, as I said, I think specific genres of music have the ability to express different things. The other thing Josiah really taught us too was to embrace your influences. So I'll give you this song No More, for instance. There's Michael W. Smith in that. There's a little bit of DC Talk. There's Carlos Santana in that, in my guitar lead solo. I love Carlos Santana. But you actually go through and list your influences, and then those influences shape and mould to create your sound. And I think, you know, he gave us, I sat there for 12 days next to him. He showed me everything. He showed me all the little secrets, all the little production techniques. Not only that, we went backstage of their live show, showed me how they run the production tracks. So cool. Sat down here, showed me how to take the mixed stems and create our own backing tracks, how to do all the video live. Like, it wasn't just you come sit down and record. This was like, you want to learn how to fish? I'll teach you how to fish.
That's so cool.
And then what I'm hoping to take from that is to come back and start building that sort of community where I can take these skills and help other people, you know, upskill their recordings and other things as well. And hopefully then teach other people how to do it and just, you know, collaborate and work together as a team, because we're all on the same team. We're all trying to accomplish the same goal. I mean, lots of us in Christian music, we've got a very, you know, our heart specifically for people who have been hurt in the Christian environment. Some people are like that. Some of them are about other issues as well. But intertwinedly, you know, there are ways which God's trying to reach out to those people. He's after the sheep that's got away, and he's calling them back home.
And I love how you put that, because, I mean, again, like Josiah being able to foster and nurture, you know, not only your talent, but who you are. And to be able to, you know, take inspiration from places, but also like just be yourself, reflective of, you know, be yourself. And I was just thinking, like, being able to be accepted in the American, you know, Christian rock space, more so in Australia. I think, why do you think that is, that in our Australian culture, I mean, I think generally in our culture, we kind of have this, you know, what is it, poppy syndrome, you know, when it's like, you know, hey, hold up, you know, like, you're doing a new thing, just calm down, you know. So I don't know whether that's kind of, you know, obviously we're all Aussies and that kind of sinks into the church in some way or another, but is there, you know, in your experience, being able to identify with that sort of church culture that either accepts or sort of like, I'm sort of not into this Christian rock thing. how have you guys been able to sort of navigate that? Is there a majority of voices that are saying that, or not so much? Is it a cultural thing? What do you think?
I don't think it's true at all. Skillet will come to Australia and they'll sell out a show.
Yeah.
They'll sell out more than a lot of the artists that come here.
Yeah.
You got Memphis Mayfire that was here recently and they're coming back again.
Yeah.
Evanescence is huge. They're doing a massive tour.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so this argument that Australians don't like Christian rock music is not true.
Yeah, that's right.
We have had so much feedback as saying it's so good to hear Christian rock.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of what's acceptable in the palates of particular sounds of what's played on radio, maybe it's not as popular, or maybe there is. I mean, there's also a big element in the US, as well as any country, where it's more the folky pop, sort of stuff as well. But really, I think it's more what Australians have been exposed to.
Right.
There are some Christian radio stations like One Way FM here and a few others that will play our genre of music. And in all reality, if it's going to get down to a particular sound, the reality is we've got our story to tell. If people are interested in our story, they'll be interested in our music. And I think we're big enough in being the places that we understand that everyone likes Christian rock. It might not be exempted in terms of the mainstream of what we would call the Christian music industry here. But in saying that, that doesn't eliminate us or who we are or our purpose or our mission.
Yeah.
And again, it's very hard to be tied with one category when we're style of music is, it's more than just is more than just that as well. But I think you're going to start seeing a change because people want something more real than that. What we can call the Jesus bow, that my life might be bad now, but with Jesus, nothing can go wrong.
Yeah.
And there has to be a realism in our music, and I think you're already seeing a change, a change in that will happen. Sometimes things can't be resolved in a song like a Full House episode. Let's, here's a bad experience, but this happened, and everything's okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to leave things in the place of pain as a cry out for God to come back and intervene. And I think one of our songs that captures that really well is By Myself, which Sarah wrote as well. I knew you were there knocking at the door, but I didn't answer because I thought you'd be ashamed of what I'd done, so I ran the other way. And I kept fighting opening that door. And then when I finally opened that door, I didn't get there, but it was crying out, if I open this door, God, I can't do life without you, but if I open this door, I need you to be there to help me and teach me how to do life.
Yeah.
So, and I think we've got to be careful around defining what the Christian genre is.
Yes.
Because how do you define the Christian genre of music? How do you define the Christian genre of denomination? How do you the reality is, doesn't matter what denomination you are. Yes, we've got some different beliefs. But the core of Christianity is based around a man who came to this earth and died on the cross and rose again. If you believe in him and turn to him, your life will be changed.
Yeah.
And in Revelations, where it says they overcame by the blood of the Lamb and the word of the testimony.
Amazing.
And if we're not sharing the stories and testimony behind what God has done in people's lives, it doesn't matter what genre of music it is. And I just we'd like the opportunity. We will take any opportunity for anyone to interview us so we can tell our story.
Yeah.
And but I noticed last night at the show we had Kyle doing hip hop and the crowd were getting into it. My son was out the front there. He was clapping his hands, dancing and getting into it. There were kids running across the front and just same with River Movement and same with that and in all styles. And we had one comment on Instagram. One girl goes, "This was my first, Jace, what an awesome night. This is my first taste of Christian metal, Christian hard rock metal. And wow, what a night, what a big night.
Yeah.
Thank you so much."
Wow, so cool.
And what I think we intertwined with that is that, you can have your perceptions about the style of music, but we're very intentional about our message.
That's right.
And it's the message that goes with the music. The music's a vehicle. Some cases, I get, some people might not like that style of music. I can, and one really quick story I'll share with my grandfather who did a lot in that space. And, there's young people, I'll turn it up, but I don't like it. but I can see God using it. And I think one thing I would say to people that maybe in that space who have influence about what's played in particular areas, when you say to somebody, we like your music, but it's not our sound, you're saying to them, your testimony is not valid. Regardless if you don't believe in their style of music, regardless of what that, if you're not going to allow them to tell their story, that's essentially what you can be taken across in saying that. And but the reality is, God will open the doors where we want to go. And if somebody says we don't like your music, well, we're not going to play it, that door shuts. And say, okay, well, God will go where you open the doors, and that's.
Yeah, because I think also, like, growing up in the church, I grew up in a very conservative church, you know, drums are of the devil sort of thing. So you get all extremes with, depending on the body of, I mean, like, very reverent, very beautiful culture of people that I grew up with. But I mean, to be able to kind of say yes to this and no to this, maybe by tradition, the church culture almost suggests very worshipful, very either reverent or very much leaning into, you know, the CCM and stuff like that on what's on charts with worship. And, you know, we've got our, you know, big worship singers and what they kind of integrate with pop. And there's a bit of rock music coming back into that, you know, sort of genre compared to maybe 20 years ago. But I think that, do you think that maybe we've been, particularly in Australia, just maybe a drought in the church field? I mean, like, we're all for AC/DC and all these other bands as Aussies, right? You know, but, like, you know, maybe not liking the message. And that really hurts my heart too, as, you know, someone who does genuinely enjoy rock music and grew up with bands such as, you know, Cutlass and Disciple and, you know, and loving what you guys do and integrating that message. Do you think that there's been potentially just a drought of Christian music in that sort of hard rock genre, maybe particularly after Easterfest or maybe during a time? You know, what's your perspective as a whole for Australia, and what's the way forward for us for Christian rock?
Look, I think there's many factors. Like, obviously, Easterfest was, and those festivals, I'm a big believer, if you've got international touring artists, local artists, regardless of the genre, should be playing with them because it opens the networks. Paul Coleman Trio got their first gig in the US because of playing a third day. There was another band called Revive. They were semi like pop rock, got their chance because they played with third day. Again later, you know, in the late 2010s, that certainly did jump off. But there is a bias to that. If you're outside the pop folk genre, traditionally for a lot of radio in Australia, you won't get played. And again, I've been shocked by the amount of people who said we love Christian rock. And I'll again push that when Skillet come to Australia, Christian, non-Christian, they sell out multiple venues. Memphis Mayfire is another great rock band. Then Evanescence, again, you know, whether they were Christians to begin with or not, but there's strong Christian messages, you know, especially Bring Me to Life, those songs as well. That sort of genre of music. And I think people relate to it more because we talk about things we don't want to talk about in the environment. So we don't want to talk about struggles. Rock music tends to talk about that. It allows that anger. It allows that emotion to come out. And honestly, I think it's just down to preferences. You know, like, I don't think we're exposed to a lot in the Christian space in that genre here in Australia, unless you deliberately go and, you know, like, a lot of people go, oh, you had the producer just Disciple into Disciple. Oh, who's Disciple? And then there's other people like, you work at Disciple? Oh my God. So, you know, it's one of those things, but I think, and one of the songs that deals with this is called Games. It's a song about where the advice has been, if you want to succeed here in this market, you've got to do X, Y, and Z. And I can't be someone that God didn't create me to be. And the reality is that if someone can't see that, then in my view, I probably wouldn't work with them. More on the same page of, it's not worth trying to bash down a door that God's not opening.
And I think that's what we've really found too, is God's been bringing people in through this journey, is the people who've got similar stories or they've been through similar things, and they're the people that God's bringing into our path. And because they're so passionate about it as well, they're wanting to help us because they're passionate about the story that we're sharing. And then the other people that we're kind of hitting a head against a wall, you just kind of realize they don't care about the message. And for us, that's kind of, I guess, just a thing now where we realize that's God saying, you're not meant to go that way and not work with that person. We're only to work with the people who do really care about the message, and that's what it's about.
And one of the incredible things, like our guitar player, Andy, it turns out he was in another hard rock band and he's been wanting to play hard rock.
Yeah.
Same with our drummer. He's been wanting to be in a hard rock band for ages.
Yeah.
It's the two people that cross their paths have come in and like last night, a lot of people saying, wow, that was a really great experience of that, of that genre of music. And I do miss the days of, you can go to festivals and you'll have multiple genres or different styles of music, and it was definitely celebrated. But look, I also hope that I inspire and encourage other people who might be sitting at home in this style of music to get out there and just be yourself. Just, come up with something that's you.
Yeah.
Don't be something that you're not, because I try being something that I'm not and it just makes me miserable.
Yeah. And for any artists that are watching and just really love, like rock and metal, and they're just really vibing with what, you guys have been putting out, connecting with your story, what advice would you have to, emerging artists or people really interested in the space?
What do you want?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best advice I could give as a Christian who's grown up in the church is don't try and change the church into what you want to do. Like, don't get me wrong, we serve in our church on our worship team and all that, and we love being a part of that. We've got a great church that's been behind us and really supportive in what we're doing. But for a while it was like, but worship the way it is isn't my passion, so I want to try and bring some of what I love into worship. And there may be places for that, but in general, the church doesn't want that. They want to keep what they're doing. So, if you can do that with the support of your church, but just step out in doing your own thing and doing what you feel you're meant to be, and don't feel pressured that just because you are a Christian that you have to be giving it to the church. I think for a long time I was told, oh no, you should just be doing your music in church. I never felt called to be a worship leader. I just never felt, yes, I'm capable of doing it. And there's been times I've done it and God's there and he uses me, but I've never felt that's my calling and that's what I'm really passionate about. So if you feel passionate about a particular genre, whether it's rock or anything, and you've got a story to tell, don't be scared to share it and to step out on your own and do what you feel God's called you to do.
Awesome.
Yeah, and this is what I'd say to myself 20 years ago. Know what God has called you to do. There are people that will tell you and promise you the world, and they'll leave you disappointed. Know what you are called to do, and know, and in some sort of capability, even if you write it down, find and get people around you that will keep you accountable for what God has called you to do. Be yourself. Be the person that God created you to be. If one person's life is changed by the music that you hear and turns back to God, the whole of heaven rejoices.
So good.
It doesn't matter how many Spotify streams you have. It doesn't matter how many monthly listeners you've got. It doesn't matter how many YouTube videos you got. That if you're going to get hung up on statistics and get caught up what I would call the world system of what success is, our success does not make sense in the wisdom of the world. God's economy is very different to our economy, the way he views things. If you was faithful to that one person, you see this story, that one person you reached out, and then one person has gone on to do incredible things for God. If you hadn't had that one conversation with it, don't be ashamed of who you are. Don't be afraid to tell your story. And the big thing is, this is music. This is your testimony. And my advice is, try to keep the two balanced. If you can't tell your story with your music, then you need to keep that to keep that in mind. But yeah, and just go for it.
Yeah.
Dream big and just go for it. And the reality is, because we're insecure people and you're delivering a part of yourself and being vulnerable, still go through this when I'm vulnerable with people. I go through letdown afterwards and why did I share that for and why did stuff like that? And then years later you bump into people, if you hadn't have told me that story, that how God uses that. And don't view other Christian bands and other Christian artists as your competition.